to talk the Royal Rumble. Oh, man, look at that guy.
Ah! Oh, man. Hey, everybody. And welcome to a very special braggadocious. There's going to be a lot of patting ourselves on the back on this one. You thought Ciampa patted himself on the back. Wait till you hear us go over our predictions from Sunday. Woo-wee! Man, it's going to be a braggadocious episode. A Carl Anderson machine gunning episode. An R-Truth funnin' episode. A Kevin Owens stunning episode of the Brothers of Discussion. Matt, we're going to talk literally everything from the Royal Rumble. Boom. That's it. All right, we'll get going. No, we're going to talk about what the victories mean for Bianca and Edge. Pretty exciting stuff, gotta say. And Matt, of course, an episode of this show would be remiss if we did not include the Wednesday Night Wars. And this week, AEW stepped it back up, and I was jacked. Woo! I look like Cody Rhodes. Well, actually, right now, I kind of look like AJ Styles the year he debuted for WWE. Really getting my puff out there, but Wrestling Plug Inc. How you doing? Glad to see you. Little YouTube love. Hey, what's going on?
We've poisoned the mind. This is our buddy that he can't look at Nakamura now without thinking of
the fruit roll-up pants. I'm telling you, they look delicious. If those are ever auctioned off for charity, I'd definitely be putting a bid in. Matt,
the podcast is a success because we've poisoned at least one mind. I would say as long as we're affecting people, positive or negative, it's a success. Mike, the good folks can find us where Wrestling Plug is right now on YouTube as we're posting all of our shows as the Brothers of Discussion. You can find us at bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. That's really the hub for everything. We've got our little blog notes that go along with each episode. So there are a little, I don't know, it's not really, it's like a little Easter egg of Brothers of Discussion extra thoughts. So you just head on over there. If there's any more details that we haven't discussed, you find them right there. Find our Facebook group. We are the live wrestling discussion with spoilers brought to you by bodpodcast.com. We're on Instagram as at brothers_of_discussion. And hey, if you're a hockey fan, go check out the Hockey Podcast Network. And if you're a Red Wings fan, check out our show, Red Wings Rant, which goes live every Wednesday night and Sunday night. And then the episodes go live Monday and Thursday. But you're here now because you want to check out the Brothers of Discussion, which we will always come to you Thursday nights. And we go live with our episodes on our podcasting platforms right after. If you could do us a huge favor and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, that does the best possible thing for our show. Number 2 would be going to our shop, which is on our website, and you can become a brother of discussion or a sister of discussion. Whatever. We have to expand that list because, there's so many different things you could be. But you want to be a part of the faction is basically how we're putting it. You can just say you listen to the Brothers of Discussion.
Maybe you're a second cousin removed of discussion.
Exactly.
The possibilities are endless.
So check it out at bodpodcast.com. Right on the homepage, you click shop, you get started.
Yeah, all right. We're here every Thursday, just like the Power Hour of Friends and Frasier used to be. My God.
Hey, now you just get Peacock and you watch it whenever you want. No, Friends is not. Friends, I
That's
think,
HBO.
is on HBO Max. Yeah.
Matt, I see you having a little bottle of something.
Drinking one of my favorite beers of all time. Got Hop Slam here.
Oh, I also brought a bottle with me. Let's see. This is Maker's Mark whiskey. That's neat.
Oh, you take a little nip. Okay, there it goes. All right, let's make
First
sure
of many.
We block your employer. Let's make sure they don't get a wink or a peek at that.
All right, I'm suited up tonight, baby. I got my best friend's T-shirt on. Look at that. Woo!
Oh, shoot.
You got your new shirt?
My T-shirt, I don't have it on. It's in the dryer right now.
That's okay. And
it's dry.
Wrestling
it's ready to go.
Wrestling Plug, if you get a second. I want you to weigh in and tell me if I look more like AJ Styles in 2015 or Drake Maverick 5 minutes into a solo match. So either one of those two, I think.
Somebody's really proud of their hair right now. You don't normally.
It's the COVID hair. I'm really feeling it right now.
Normally, you wait till someone brings that up, but Mike's looking for the compliments. He didn't go Hey, do I look like that monster from Ghostbusters? Or he's just like, hey, these two good-looking guys that wrestle, which one of them do I remind you of more?
I don't think either of those hairdos were, upper echelon. We used to call him Soccer Mom AJ and Drake Maverick. He was looking wild about 10 minutes, after the Godfather part in the back was gone. But, Matt, let's dive into the Royal Rumble. It's our favorite event of the year. I saw we wanted to kind of build back up to the actual Rumble itself, so I will admit I was not excited about Sasha and Carmella, and it was pretty dang good, man. I was wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. That was a match worthy of a pay-per-view.
I mean, that was short and sweet. I thoroughly enjoyed Carmella's performance, and we all knew what was going to happen. So this was that you have the tough job on Carmella's side to make it look like she's a formidable opponent. Like it's more so than just, can you last in there with Sasha Banks? You have this tremendous job of going, everyone's going to watch this and know it's going to go Sasha's way. So I have that extra mile to go. And she absolutely did. I think this was just another reminder of all the great work she did, a couple years ago when she was coming off some, I mean, victories over Charlotte, victories over Asuka when she was holding the belt. So this just had us all remembering what a great time she had back then. Yeah. I mean, like the way that we grade these, we're not Meltzer here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you there's a star rating, but I had a pretty goddamn good time watching that, man.
I gave it, I don't know, I don't believe in stars. I gave it 5 hot dogs. How about that?
Yeah, no, I thoroughly agree with the 5 hot dogs.
On a scale of 8 hot dogs, because you get 8 hot dogs in a pack versus 6 buns in a roll, I gave it 5 hot dogs out of 8. I liked it. Man,
see, now you screwed it up. You weren't supposed to have like an analytical way of figuring out what the hot dog score was. You just said
5's a really good number of hot dogs because you almost you have an extra bun instead of being down 2 buns.
Yeah, I mean, what you could have done here? So I'm gonna give the Drew McIntyre and Goldberg match 2 hot dogs because that's all I need. 2 hot dogs and I'm good. I'm not looking at future meals. 2 hot dogs.
It's very subjective scoring with the hot dogs.
I'm just look. It gets 2 hot dogs because I was happy with how that match turned out. I'm not always thrilled with consuming the hot dog, but I'm happy I'm fed. I'm happy that I had food, so I'm going to sit here and say I'm happy that Drew McIntyre held on to that championship title. Mike, we spent hours last week discussing ourselves when we were
complaining.
on Mr. Warren Hayes show. We were discussing the fact that we knew Drew McIntyre was going to lose. So, Mike, I'm excited for when we do Performer of the Year next year when you pick Goldberg because he laid down for Drew. Going along the lines of your formula for picking Brock. So I'm just excited to hear that come January next year. Go Mike and picking Goldberg.
My attorneys are readying my closing argument as we speak. Matt, we will be very prepared come the end of the wrestling fiscal year. Matt, this match was a success because there was no fatalities. Goldberg tries he might, did not drive poor Drew's skull directly into the mat. Luckily, at the last second, McIntyre was able to wheel himself through, and he healed himself. It's a wrestling term. He healed himself on that jackhammer, which is when you bring all your weight down on your heel, and it really sucks for your feet. But luckily, it wasn't all coming down on his neck. So, victory for Drew. Goldberg, that's about what we're going to get out of him. And
that's what we should get out of him.
About 5 minutes, just spears. I don't know if we need to see the jackhammer again. We might have to outlaw that move, or at least outlaw it for Bill. And somehow I was entertained for the 5 minutes that it was, and nobody had a crippling injury. So I consider that easily a 2, maybe 2.5 hot dog match.
And quick shout out again, Wrestling Plug. He goes away to subscribe just for a minute. He heads away. And the hair has gone wild.
My man.
I love it. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. All right, so last man standing match, Mike.
Oh my God.
This is probably about 16 hot dogs because I mean you got way more than you could have ever asked for, and this is something we're going to come back to. So you give it the 16 hot dogs because this just isn't one meal, and this is going to be multiple times, Mike. We're going to be consuming this match, so we're going to come back to it probably at the end of the year when we're thinking about match of the year. I'm not calling it match of the year, but it's definitely like, how do you not at least have it? We're a month in. How do you at least not have it on that list? So 16 hot dogs, Mike, for this last man standing match. I think that's the best way to put it because you saw Kevin Owens almost kill himself. My favorite part you pointed out was the cameo from the Money in the Bank briefcase. So we knew that nobody was going to cash in because the Miz was nowhere to be found.
I know, we walked right by the prop desk. Oh, no.
The only problem is that, and this is where the 16 hot dogs comes into play, is that it does hurt at the end. So if you are to consume these 16 hot dogs at once, you're going to have a bad time once it's ready to go potty, once you're ready to go potty. And that, of course, is a reference to the end of that match, which was a complete cluster. But I'm hopeful. This is a television show, Mike. I'm hopeful that they edit this thing down. So if I ever go back to watch this, I don't see Paul dropping the key and Roman rolling around pretending that he's kind of knocked out, even though he's got to get up in a second. And then the ref just stops counting at 7. That was terrible. But let's pretend it didn't happen because it is a TV show. They got a little, maybe they overbooked it a tad with the handcuffs thing. But if you erase that was a fantastic match, and you can't really hold that against them because they really were trying to deliver like a really great story for Kevin Owens where he was this close to winning. It just so happens that Paul's, you got Butterfingers, you got Nedry over there trying to unhook Roman Reigns from that pole, and he's got Butterfingers, and he drops the key, and there we go.
Yeah, I mean, Heyman, safety's in your hands, and you've got Butterfingers. But I will say that as embarrassing as that spot was, right? Yeah. Two things really stood out for me. One was Roman Reigns totally showing off his improvisational skills and having to eat shit because, like, the camera's just on him watching him struggle for, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes. And finally, he kind of figures out, all right, I can kind of crouch on my boots here and then make it look like I'm still alive in the match, but not quite counted out. And, he didn't get embarrassed. He didn't get flustered, which I think is something we might have seen from Roman in the past. And he just, he owned it. And that weird interaction with Paul dropping the key or whatever happened, that was maybe like a top 5 referee bump. It looked real. It made sense logistically with Roman, about to lose, and then he guns the referee into that hanging piece of steel and totally knocks him out. I thought that was a really great moment. There were so many great moments in this match. And it's part of the reason Kevin Owens, he's the Canadian, mankind. He just loves jumping off of stuff, and it looks great when he does it. Jumping off that forklift was pretty incredible. He just does it for our entertainment. He does it for the love of the game. And Roman Reigns, Matt, I'm going to say it. I think I said it this year. I said it last year. I'm going to say it again. If Roman Reigns was in New Japan, he would be PWI's top wrestler probably a couple years running because this is just another excellent showing in a pay-per-view match. So just bravo to these gentlemen who had the task of trying to put on a match that wasn't the Royal Rumble on Royal Rumble night and make it memorable. And by God, they did it. Butterfingers and all.
Save for that ending. Save for the dropping of the key by Paul. And again, like you said, whatever really happened there. I'm just guessing he dropped the key. I mean, this is up there with that triple threat of Brock and Seth and John, and the AJ Styles versus John Cena. Now that is now going down as one
or
of
like
the best.
Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. That was another good one.
Yeah, that's another good one. Those are all going to be up there now in my head, rocking around. All right, so what else did we have, Mike? We had a couple of Royal Rumble matches, I think. What? Look, the easy one here is the Women's Rumble. We got Bianca Belair. She's who we picked. She's the one that when we played the game, like, who do you want to win? Who are you picking to win? It matched. And she was also the betting odds favorite at the start of the night. Everything lined up. There wasn't really too much to dissect. We could probably go in and feel really good. The booking to the end of the match was great because for me, it was either Bianca Belair or Rhea Ripley. I think we both felt stronger about Bianca's chances of winning. But then to have them be the final two and to work together to take out Charlotte was fantastic. A couple of people queued up some of the promos from NXT a year ago where Charlotte put a hand in Bianca's face and Bianca's just like, what the fuck? And lo and behold, we wait a year and we get some redemption from both those ladies, and they gave us a hell of a Royal Rumble. It's easy to say too, Mike. Better of the two Rumbles, the Women's Rumble, I thought.
Yeah, we'll get into it in a minute, but I think at first we thought the women's one would be kind of wide open.
Yeah.
But then as it went on, you're like, there's nobody better. Like nobody more deserving right now. Nobody like storytelling wise that would give you that kind of payoff than Bianca. Not quite getting the credit going bell to bell, as number 1 or 2, but definitely getting that number 3 spot and kind of going on. Yeah, she's incredible, and I really want to hats off, Matt. You're gonna have to do it for me. I don't wear a hat, but hats off to swerving us and taking Charlotte out of the bottom 2. I had Bayley in the bottom 2. And,
I had Becky Lynch in my bottom 4, so that totally.
I know there were the Ronda Rousey rumors and stuff like that, but this was much better. It's just Bianca also got to close with a promo that I think you could argue is right up there with a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment of my life. I think Bianca hit one, out of the park. She did really good. The emotions came pouring out. Just again, another tough one because of COVID. We didn't get to see the fan reaction, and I think they really would have embraced the moment, much like we did for Drew McIntyre last year. It was it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, my bottom 4 was Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Rhea Ripley. Bayley went out pretty early, too. I think you and I were both shocked with that. And a couple of picks that we got from our good buddies over the last week also included Bayley. So that one was a shocker. But you trade out. I'm putting Becky Lynch and Bayley in there, but you're pretty much saying, there's some 4 horsewomen that are going to be mixed in there. So you just throw in a Charlotte. We almost nailed it. I'm gonna give us a good grade on that.
I had Bayley, Rhea, Shayna, and then Bianca. So I was a little off on 2 of those, but I did get 2 of the 4. I can live with it.
Yeah. I guess there's like you said, there's not too much to dissect past that. I did love the promo as well from Bianca. A+, you're giving her that opportunity to be her. Which is always just the best route to go. I think the WWE is letting these guys do a little bit more. Mustafa is definitely one that comes to mind where you see his promos are getting hotter and hotter because he's being more and more of who he is on like social media. And he's really starting to drag folks. I hope that they give Bianca, I'm not saying I want Bianca to be the same character. I'm saying I want them to let Bianca be Bianca. And going back to that picture I talked about being shared, like that was a moment I think we all fell in love with Bianca Belair last year. So more of her being that. It's just fun. It's so much easier to write, I think, from a pro wrestling perspective, is to just let these people be themselves. There's another way to dissect that too, because Edge kind of called out Drew McIntyre for being too soft this week on Monday Night Raw. But there's a reason, Mike, that he called out Drew for being too soft, and that's because he was going to talk to him about fighting him at WrestleMania. because he won the men's Rumble, as we all know. Like I said, lesser of the two Rumbles, but that ending was like, that was straight fire. I mean, now the guys that we picked to win, Mike, remind me who you wanted, because I wanted Big E.
Well, in my bottom four, I did have Edge, Daniel Bryan, AJ, Bobby Lashley.
Who you wanted.
But I thought it was going to be Bobby Lashley.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted Big E. I didn't see him in there because he's got his own feud going with Sami Zayn. But I really thought one of those four dudes would be it. And then Bobby got dumped a little unceremoniously. I'll use that word.
Big E too. He just got ripped out of the ring by Omos. That was sad. That was him just standing there, and then all of a sudden there's no more Big E.
Yeah, I don't even remember the eliminations of my other picks. But I just had a feeling if Edge was in it, he was going to be in the bottom four, and I didn't pick him to win, but he did it. It was a bell. We had 2 bell-to-bell Royal Rumbles. Pretty impressive stuff from Edge, considering what his poor body has been through. To see him last that long in a match, challenging Rey Mysterio's record for longest showing in a single Rumble. But yeah, I forgot how good Edge was. Not just the reminders with the promos this week, his NXT cameo, what he did on Raw, what he did the week before the Rumble, talking about his declaration to appear. But I mean, starting the Rumble and whoever booked him to run out and sprint to Randy Orton and start pummeling him before he even gets a chance to do his entrance. And then that every time a new guy would come in, part of the way the Rumble gets staggered, as you watch enough of these, there's certain guys who they'll put in there to eat bumps. Dolph Ziggler is usually somebody who does that, the John Morrisons of the world. And Edge, even though he was in that match for 60 minutes, he definitely made sure to bump for every single person coming in, whether he's eating a punch, a forearm, a finisher, a top rope move.
It makes sense now, right? Like, you're sitting there going, just look at the conversations he had with like Damian Priest. He's totally just helping these guys. He's always giving the rub. I have seen some of the stories going around already that Edge booked himself to win the Royal Rumble. Why do we even need that story to come out? But he's obviously doing so much work to help out these younger guys and these other brands. He was just on NXT last night.
Yeah. And even they talked about,
why are we running that?
Yeah, there's a comment too that he plans to be on TV every week leading up to Mania.
What an ass.
So he's making a commitment to do this.
He's doing amazing. He's doing everything. Like, he's defined himself already, going to Bleacher Report and said, I'm not a part-timer. If I'm going to be in a WrestleMania main event, I'm going to be here every week. And now it looks like, Mike, we're going to get him in 3 straight shows to start. Like, it's just... Yeah. This is what we only could have dreamed of when rumors of Edge coming back started swirling.
Yeah, I think Edge works so hard. It's difficult to even include him in this grouping, but it's kind of the demographic that the Mustafa Ali character is criticizing. Where a part-timer, old-timer comes in and takes a spotlight match, from a younger guy who's working all year. It's just that Edge doesn't fit in that category for me because he works too hard. He's too good at his job. And that Royal Rumble is just another reminder. Every time he ran up and bumped, it was, as a wrestling fan, it definitely kind of touched me like, man, look at this guy. He's not laying down. He's not letting just the Zigglers go out there and get pummeled. He's making everybody look like $1 million. So I just forgot how excellent Edge was at professional wrestling, and I'm so glad he's back in our wrestling lives.
Yeah, and we've got so much to discuss today. So the Rumble for me was a great show. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 14 packages of hot dogs. I'll be coming back to this Rumble for the rest of my life. This isn't what I'm gonna ignore. I will say, Mike, you hate it when I do this, but my time watching old wrestling has definitely dwindled considering my baby girl, because I only have so many hours in the day to actually consume new content, or new content, I should say, and not really go back and consume old stuff. I'm going to have to wait till she's old enough for that. But once she is old enough, this will be one of those times like I'm going to go, that is Bianca Belair. And, hopefully at that time, Bianca's still going to be in a prominent spot. So maybe, I don't know, 5 years from now, I'll be showing her pro wrestling. Six sound like a good age? Probably not. Maybe 10. Maybe I got to wait a long.
Yeah, we when did the bad kids across the street introduce us to wrestling? I think we were like 7 or 8.
Well, we were playing the Royal Rumble video game first, and then we would watch it and go, oh, that's who the Undertaker is. Like that was how we got introduced to pro wrestling. Yeah. No, I'm serious. That's how it happened. It's actually a pretty nice tale. I think the whole way that we got into wrestling, left wrestling, came back to wrestling, and then got so deep into pro wrestling that we changed our old podcast into only pro wrestling. It's a nice little journey. I think some people are probably more. They could make the argument they're more committed based on maybe 30 years of never stopping watching pro wrestling. But we've had our ebbs and flows. But it's definitely started with the video games getting us in there.
Yeah, about a guy in a black hat and pink socks. Let me tell you, Matt, who should Bianca fight at WrestleMania with her Royal Rumble victory?
I think the initial reaction was Sasha Banks. I feel like their promo styles are going to do great. And I don't know. I think there's something different for Asuka. Maybe it's just tough to figure out because Asuka could really be paired with anybody at any time. But I like this idea that the EST would go up against the Boss. That really is going to be this clash of what really is going to be what's going to prevail. As these two ladies come together and say, I'm just straight up better than you. And then there's going to be a title that's going to get in the middle of the conversation, which is pretty neat. But to me, that's the no-brainer. So maybe I will be wrong. Maybe it will be Asuka. Of course, she didn't show up on Raw. So maybe that's clue number one. She wasn't on NXT. So she's certainly not Io, right? Like if we're going to sit here and make the case for each, I would say the case for Io would be pretty short, and it would just go along the lines of she just wants that shot again at Io. If you're gonna make the case for Asuka, it's tough to do. I sat there and I tried to before we even started recording.
Yeah,
I tried to think of one for Drew McIntyre and for Rowan, but it's really tough to think of why does Bianca Belair need to go up against Asuka? And it just goes along the same lines of just saying, well, the best wants to face the best. But it makes so much more sense when you use those lines and tie in the Boss and the EST than just Asuka versus Bianca, where it feels like that's how you put it on the marquee, right? Like that's where it doesn't win, where it's Asuka versus Bianca. I love this, by the way, what I just came up with, where the marquee says Asuka versus Bianca, where the difference, if it's Sasha, is that the marquee says the EST versus the Boss. Like that's it right there. That's going to be the thing I clip from this show and put it on for an end. That's how proud I am of that.
Beautiful. There you go. Give yourself a little patty waddy. There you go, Maddie. Yeah, I think there's a 0% chance for fighting Io. It's main event time. Plus, I think, spoiler alert, I think Edge might be doing that instead.
Edge is going to fight Io?
He's going to take her down.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I don't see Bianca versus Asuka because it's I don't know. I think I'm just much more interested in seeing we're gonna have a main event women's match at WrestleMania between two black women. It's never happened. This is so cool. I think, I don't know if I want to watch Asuka and Bianca, try to promo each other. So I think that's kind of where Sasha can step in, and that's her strength. Getting on the mic and kind of giving that sneery attitude and, that kind of, better than you feeling. Additionally, if Bianca, she kind of has the crowd behind her, we all support her rise. It's a natural face character progression. I don't know if I want to see her have to turn heel to go up against Asuka, and Asuka has been such, an excellent baby face on Monday Night Raw. Leave her as a baby face. Sasha's excellent as a heel. I think she's better as a heel. And let Bianca just ride this wave of momentum all the way through WrestleMania, and I think that's her ideal dance partner. For the men, there's a couple of different ways to go about this. But I gotta think that Edge wants to be part of the Royal Rumble. I think he wants to be part of WrestleMania. I don't know if he necessarily wants to fight Drew or Roman. I think that ideally for him, he would want to fight the NXT champion. My only kind of beef with that is, I like Finn Balor, but man, I'd really like to see Edge put over an Adam Cole, as the champion at WrestleMania. We'd have to have a lot of moving parts. Adam's kind of, been on his, part of the Dusty Rhodes tag team Classic Daddy. Hasn't really focused on his solo stuff in a little while Finn kind of goes through some different dance partners, and a lot of moving pieces would have to kind of arrange themselves for Edge and Adam Cole to go at it. But that would be my ideal matchup, and I think that he is going to try and put over somebody in NXT. If I were to put money down, that's what I would think he's going to pick is NXT.
Well, you're throwing me off here because I thought for sure he's just doing this stuff to kind of build up Vengeance, which is coming up on Valentine's Day. So thankfully we can't go to restaurants, and I don't need to make an excuse as to why I don't want to go to a restaurant this year on Valentine's Day. We'll just be at home watching Vengeance, probably snacking on some food I picked up from a local
Some Hungry Howie's heart-shaped pizza, only $5.99.
Ooh, if only Hungry Howie's ever tasted good.
That's a requisite? Oh, man, I just get it cheap. God.
Yeah. What I was going to say, though, is I do think Pete Dunne's going to be going over on Mr. Finn Balor, but I would love Pete Dunne and Edge. I think that would be like the fact that they're giving Pete Dunne, they gave him some power at NXT UK to do some booking and to manage some of the matches over there, and now he comes back over here and he's immediately in a prominent spot. I think Hungry Howie's isn't bad from Mr. Rodriguez here. I think we can block him from the chat.
He's actually made the best telling point of this entire episode, so I just want to reach out to Mr. Rodriguez.
Teddy Turnbuckle throws out there, hopefully Vince McMahon breaks his asshole again, just like in 1999. Anytime an individual, Mike, we've dealt with some injuries here in the Detroit sports area with some prominent athletes ripping their scrotums.
Yes.
What's worse, breaking your asshole or ripping your scrotum?
Well, do I want to do this logistically? If I sit down, I don't usually sit on my balls. I usually sit on my butt. So if I break my butt, most of what my day is sitting. So I think that would be a more devastating injury for me. So it sounds like quite a few people are going to be getting the Hungry Howie's heart-shaped pizzas come Valentine's Day. I wish that they had more specialty holiday-themed pizzas. Maybe a nice bunny-shaped pizza for Easter, huh? Who wouldn't want a nice bunny-shaped pizza with maybe some pepperonis for the eyes and the nose, huh? Maybe a little.
Do menorah-shaped pepperoni on.
I don't know if that works, man.
How does that not work? You just use the pepperonis and make a little menorah.
Menorah, eh? Pepperoni?
Oh, God.
Wow. Yeah. I thought you were...
Nope, not making a joke.
Man was not on board for that one. Okay.
It's not that bad. Jesus.
Real
not
bad.
We needed to bring Jesus into it, but...
Like a manger-shaped pizza for Christmas?
For next week's episode, I'll go into an online course on world religions.
How about breadsticks shaped like a manger?
Okay.
Are we going to bust
out like Lincoln Logs?
Yeah, Are we busted into our Fred Willard impressions? Oh boy, what a treat this will be, honey! Let's gather the family after church. We're all gonna get manger-shaped breadsticks. Oh boy, gonna be shredded cheese on them, and you can dip them in all sorts of sauces. And praise the Lord, that's gonna be good. Matt, let's move on because I can see the sour look on your face over there. You're not excited about more holiday highways. Where'd you want to go next, Matt?
Well, I mean, we could jump into some AEW talk because we have Cody, our buddy here, just showed up on YouTube. NXT is dead in the ratings. They lost over 100,000 viewers this week, even with Edge advertised move NXT to Thursday nights. Greg commented next. Sorry, Cody. We'll get to your comment in a second here, Greg. Actually, let's do this real quick. Greg with the nice little throw out. Rest in peace, Fred Willard. We do love Fred Willard. Literally loved him till his death there. Still love him now. But Cody, let's get back to this. Look, man, like we talked about before, I would love these to just be on separate nights because it's better for me. For whatever reason, this is still a working idea for WWE and USA. I think when it comes to like us as wrestling fans, as long as we know that this isn't endangering the fact that NXT exists and we know we can watch these shows whenever we have time. Mike, wasn't I just rewatching the main event to NXT before we went live and I shared it with you on our stream? Obviously, I can't share it when we go live, but it's just one of those things. Like, as long as it exists and it's out there, I'm happy because I can find a way to watch both of these shows when I've got the time. But if it was about watching them live, having separate nights where we could tweet about the shows and not get all jumbled up, where Mike and I are, one's watching AEW, one is watching NXT, and we're simultaneously tweeting, and then we ruin each other's tweet because of the algorithms in Twitter. Like that, selfishly, yes, I want them on separate nights. But one thing that's probably going to continue to hurt the ratings for NXT, Mike, is Tony Khan says AEW is officially not just open for business. Mike, they've closed deals with New Japan, Impact, and some other promotions. And we went as far as seeing the Good Brothers in the main event, along with Kenta crashing at the end of the night to attack Jon Moxley. And of course, they already teased on New Japan Pro Wrestling show that they could possibly be fighting for Moxley's title, which I'm pretty sure is the Intercontinental title over there. Maybe it's the U.S. title. Cody, you probably know. Tell us which title that is. We're not watching New Japan every week. We watch Wrestle Kingdom. And that's
I wouldn't mind. I just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Matt, this we're going to talk about now AEW with just letting all these dudes just come over from different promotions. It's awesome. It's, you can go, it's like going to, Taco Bell and getting some Wendy's nuggets, maybe a McDonald's Shamrock Shake, and then you can still get a cheesy gordita crunch. Just everything now is available in one spot. It's great for us. It's refreshing for us. It's exciting. I don't know who's going to debut. I don't know who's going to pop out. Maybe Kenta will come out and, do the worst go to sleep of all time, but it's still better than any go to sleep that I could manage. So it's just everything's on the table now. I got a lot of grief for posting that. Matt, apparently we were in the minority on that one. It was a bottom 5 go to sleep. That's what everybody said except us. But anyway,
We do have a lot of WWE and NXT marks. Was that what was dragging it down?
That could have been it. I tweeted it at Kenta, and he actually responded, "Yeah, it sucked." So I don't know if that sways your opinion at all. But yeah, it's just so refreshing to not feel these guys handcuffed, chained, just stuck with their one promoter as these quote unquote independent contractors. Now they could just float around wherever the best story is. And I think it really contributed to one of the better AEW episodes we've had in a month for sure. And we could talk about that in the Wednesday Night Wars, but yeah, it's just everything's open for business, and I don't think AEW or the pro wrestling landscape has been this exciting in a while. This might be the story of 2021, Matt. As soon as I get my Kota Ibushi, I can't wait.
I do want to touch on that, but first, Greg threw out there, when we're talking about that go to sleep, Greg threw out there, he thought Moxley oversold it. He 1,000% oversold it when he was about to get back up, and then he laid back. I didn't know what the hell that was. Like,
well, he's like, oh man, he's about to no-sell it. Oh, he's double selling it. Whoa!
Like, we all remember, like, Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan going at it. Like, that's one thing. Like, and I think you've alluded to the rumor that Shawn Michaels was overselling because he didn't want to do this match, or he didn't want to actually go up against Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
There's that, but we know Moxley isn't doing that. We know he's super excited to fight Kenta.
I'm gonna make the case he didn't oversell that much. If he had taken
he totally did.
If he took the go to sleep and then
cartoonish,
and then he reached under the ring and grabbed a pillow, that would have been overselling for me. If he went night night, after the go to sleep.
But that's what I was getting at.
He oversold a little bit. He oversold
Michaels a little bit. Cartoonish against Hulk Hogan, but that was built, I was going to say, off of hate, off of I really don't want to do this match. John, you know what? Straight up, that was just some bad pro wrestling. If we're going to sit here, Mike, week after week, I talk about casting in regards to characters working in pro wrestling. That's why Drew McIntyre works as a face champion, because he's so freaking huge and he's built and he's got that growl in his voice. He's like, yeah, that guy's a fucking champion right there.
Yeah.
If we're gonna talk about casting week after week, then we have to go. Why the hell is one of the PWI's number one wrestler? You talked about PWI a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Why the hell is he about to sit? He's sitting back up and then what are we doing? He's when Wile E. Coyote would turn into a 2x4 when he's flipping down the highway or something.
Yeah, it reminded me of that bit on a comedian we can't name anymore. He's talking about getting old and trying to put on his socks. He looked like Moxley trying to roll up and put his socks on, and then he just kind of fell back into oblivion. He did oversell, but I think he was just trying to compensate for. It's like he fell out of Kenta's arms or something on go to sleep, but. I didn't know this would be the hottest debate of the show. This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah, that's good call by Greg for throwing that out there. I did want to talk about, like you said, this is great for pro wrestling to see all these brands working together. My only fear is that this brings us a step further from all of these guys being covered medically, because eventually this could turn into something where all of these owners of these companies go, well, you're not on my watch, and if you do something over there, I can't cover you for that. There's my fear. Immediately we have that thrown in there. So I know I'm poo-pooing this awesome thing for pro wrestling, but it seemed like with the way we were pushing pro wrestling, we were getting so close. And I think this idea pushes us farther away, because there's too many things that an insurance company who's going to be covering AEW and AEW events, it's going to make it that much more difficult for these guys to land something where these other companies could turn around and say, well, you're a part-time employee for us, so I don't need to medically cover you. If you're just going to be here for 1 hour, or you're 50, maybe that's where it turns next is you can come over, but we're only going to be paying you an hourly rate. And I'm exaggerating a bit there.
Yeah.
But that could be the negative, and could be why these other companies are on board with it now. because this narrative of covering your pro wrestlers medically was really getting pushed to the front lines. It was really becoming a key aspect of any discussion in regards to pro wrestling, especially outside of like the major hardcore fans, where it was getting put into the news headlines, thanks to what's his name, who does the HBO show, John Oliver. So that narrative gets pushed farther away. So I'm gonna be the poo poo here. I'm gonna make it sound a little worse, but that's just something we have to watch out for.
Man, I don't think anyone was going to accuse you of being a poo poo. If anything, they're going to get you fitted for some nice crocheted mittens, because Matt is pro universal healthcare. Come on, Matt. Ooh. Yeah. I think that the wrestlers, if they're in Japan or Canada or the United States, they should all get health care. I don't care what promotion they're working for. If you smell... I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent. Yeah, it was. There was a bad Bernie. I haven't worked on it. But Cody, he's all over this. Omega and Kenta versus Mox and Archer in a no DQ match next week. Can't wait. How did Archer just insert himself into the main event like that?
He's been on the top of everybody's mind. He's been on the top of everybody's mind after he came out dressed like Brody a couple weeks ago. It's like that was such a great move from Archer to do that. And I'm not saying he was manipulating the audience when he did that, but it really helped push him like to the front of the headlines.
Yeah.
And now I think we're removed a week or 2 weeks from when he was actually doing like those YouTube AEW shows or interviews where he was talking about like I screwed up my last championship. I'm gonna like, this is where I'm gonna put my nose to the grind and get another win here and get myself back on track. And you do one of those promos and you start to become, a face. And now we're locking up, Kenny Omega's the bad guy, even though it's going to have like those, it's the Bullet Club. So it's going to have the NWO vibes where the bad guys, but everybody's rooting for him anyway. And then, Mox and Archer. Those guys.
Yeah, let's get on the Archer coattails, because something about that, his attire and that mohawk, that murder hawk. Somehow he's cooler than the coolest version of my Cyberpunk 2077 avatar. My little avatar will never, even that guy will never be as cool. So I'm pumped. Yeah, I'm pumped to see those guys duke it out. I like Mox a lot. I like him a lot. But man, after this week, I really got the itch. I really want another hit of Pac. My God, every time I see that guy wrestle, I think, my God, that's the greatest wrestler of all time. Matt's going to make me do a monologue about Pac. I just love the way he sells. His offense looks so vicious, even for an angry, like 5'9" bastard. God, I wish that I could insert him into that, tag match next week or 2 weeks. Whatever, they're going to move that one around.
We've got a major comment here from Greg.
We
can't even see our faces anymore.
What the hell, Greg?
I can't read it. Can I? Yeah, let's see if I can get my hands on it. Insurance companies ask too many questions. Every time Nia throws Mandy Rose out of the ring, she sprains her wrist and she's out of action for 2 months. Insurance companies won't be able to tell the difference between real injuries, storyline injuries, and fraud. Man, Greg, that is a great point. It really I know everybody doesn't want to get into the as Mike was saying, we were getting into some pretty rough territory already in regards to going deeper into those insurance company talks. But I would love to be in the middle of one of those meetings, because they probably at first, like if you've ever brought up pro wrestling to somebody that doesn't watch it, Mike, I just did it the other day. Our other podcast was featured on Slapshot Sweethearts, and we did a live watch along of a Red Wings game. And I let everybody know that we also do a wrestling podcast, as everybody's watching right now. And they said, wrestling's not real, right? Which is our favorite. Oh, Mike, I think top 10 things to hear after you mention you're a wrestling fan. That's got to be number one.
Okay. But surely Batman is real. What? Oh,
no. My God. So you got to think like these insurance companies come in, and that's going to be when they hear about this. They hear there's a meeting going on. I'm dead serious. Like that's going to be the first thing on their mind is like, why does this need sports coverage kind of thing? I just, Greg, you make a wonderful point. I think if Mike, maybe we should put on our journalist hats and actually get some thoughts from an insurance company and see like what would go through their mind if they were deciding, if we're going to put together a major plan. I mean, like, Blue Cross puts something together for people that sit at a desk, right?
Okay, right this way, Mr. Wyatt. Okay, so what happened to you? Okay, you were burned alive? Oh, all right, well, we're going to put a pin in this one. We'll get back to you. Okay, Mr. Orton, step right up. Oh, not you two. Oh, come on. How many burn victims are on this show? Like, it's got to be impossible for that poor insurance agent.
That's when Dr. Isaac Yankum walks around the corner to light everybody on fire. Woo! I'm mixing characters. All right, Mike. It was a hefty week of pro wrestling, but are you ready to jump into probably our favorite part of every week?
I do, but the only thing just before we do, I'm really pumped for that AEW women's tournament to see who's going to fight Shida eventually at some point. So they got a whole bracket of women from Japan and then a whole bracket of people from the U.S. Again, just plucking superstars from New Japan, Impact, just free agents, just people all over the earth. Go through them.
No, start.
The Serena Deebs, the Rios, the Britt Bakers, the Tay Contis, Thunder Rosa, which I apologize for not saying that name first. I'm such a huge fan. Nyla Rose, Anna Jay, and Layla Hirsch. Matt, you want to do the Japanese side of people we've never watched before?
Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, Veni, Emi Sakura, Ryo Mizunami, Mei Sugura, Ren Katukura, and Maki Aito.
Well, I can't judge you on those pronunciations because I probably would have done the exact same thing. But yeah, these are just people we personally don't know yet, but the world knows. And it's groundbreaking stuff. Again, just being able to have this tournament. And it sounded like they were alluding to maybe having it even outside of the confines of Florida. And, kind of having it take place in other arenas, in other countries, potentially. It finally feels like they're going to take a little time to give Shida a real challenger instead of this musical chairs approach that they've been doing for the past, I would say, the entire length of Shida's run. So it's nice that it feels like there's actually going to be a climactic payoff with the end of this tournament eventually. So yeah, we're just going to be in for a treat. But Matt, I think it's time to officially get into the Wednesday Night Wars.
Woo! Crap. Yeah. I was doing some quick research. There it is. Wednesday Night Wars. Woo! All right. Yeah. Sorry. So I was trying to look up those ladies that you mentioned, and I don't see so which brand or where they're doing their wrestling right now. If I go into the wrestler database, so like Rin Kadukura is on Marvelous. That's Women Pro Wrestling is the promotion she's fighting currently in. So I just wanted to say I know New Japan has a relationship with Stardom Pro Wrestling, but then I also didn't know if any of these ladies were actually fighting for Stardom. But now that we already transitioned into something else, I'm wasting my time. Okay. Back to Mike, and Cody's gonna like hearing this if he's still listening. Mike, the winner this week of the Wednesday Night Wars
was AEW.
NXT. No, it's AEW. Look, here's the thing. One of my favorite matches of the night was not like it's tough again for NXT. All right, it's just this was another amazing episode of NXT. This would make it like the 5th week in a row that NXT would have won, but we can't skirt away from the fact of how AEW ended. But I mean, Mike, I got my dream tag team in this. I got teases for what next week is going to bring, or 2 weeks from now. You had Edge showing up to NXT.
Yeah.
Man, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez in the Dusty Classic, and Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro pretty much put on a show that said we should have won. So they did the old DIY, performance. When they were always losing in the Dusty Classic. And then even the throwaway matches, Austin Theory and Leon Ruff. I'm going throughout the whole card, so I'm rooting this segment. But it even ends with Dexter Lumis crashing in a match that I probably would have rolled my eyes on. So when Dexter Lumis crashes, I'm sitting up in my chair and I'm going, all right, this is an A+ segment. But all that happened, Mike, on NXT, and we're going to sit here and say stupid AEW won.
Damn you, Matt. All right, moment number 3 for NXT. I've heard enough of your lip. Let's hear it again.
All right. Mike, I think we're all excited for Mike, you're so excited for Edge being in NXT that you think he's going to fight Finn Balor or Pete Dunne.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah. He most certainly delivered one of the best promos we've seen on NXT to pump up this match at Vengeance, or as our buddy Teddy Turnbuckle actually put it, it used to be called NXT Takeover Valentine's Day. I actually missed that comment, but that was quite a while ago. He threw it up there. But yeah, that was Vengeance Day, and I'll be interested to see if Edge eventually does pick the NXT title. Obviously, but I mean, this was a monumental moment for WWE wrestling brands and just pro wrestling in general. I mean, you got to see Edge deliver a promo at NXT. I just don't know, how is this not amazing? How is this not one of the moments of the night? How is this something that we are going to forget over the entire course of the year? It won't. It'll be something we will remember. Like, I dare say that this is better than the promo he did with Drew McIntyre, where he called Drew McIntyre out and said, you've really got to hate me because I could be coming for your title, which, I think challenged me as a fan of Drew McIntyre to go, yeah, what the fuck, Drew? What are you doing? But on this night, it was Edge, like I said, selling the NXT title. I talked about it on Twitter, where he was selling the title over selling the pro wrestlers, where if he fought Drew, he'd be helping Drew get over that much more, like putting Drew McIntyre in legendary status. And the thing of it, too, is I already think Roman Reigns is there. But Drew's on his way. He would get there, I think, with a win. I think that would put Drew over a year holding the title, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. What he did here was sell the NXT title, sell us on that match, and sell us, and you especially, on Edge actually challenging for the NXT title, and how cool. And that's the thing. I'm saying cool. He never really said, this is important to my career to know I held this belt. It kind of felt like he was saying, this would be pretty gosh darn neat to throw on my resume. But even with that, he sold it with a lot of gumption. And this was Edge on NXT, so it had to crack the list.
Absolutely.
So, Mike, your number 3 segment for AEW. What was it? Like that dumb tag team battle royal, or? It
actually was. You know what? Maybe I was still feeling it from Sunday. My favorite time of the year. That was Christmas Day. But watching yet another battle royal within the last, within 4 days between, Royal Rumble and just a couple day gap, and there I was watching. People set themselves up against the ropes and in positions you never usually imagine them in. But, for the sake of the gimmick, you're probably gonna, feel a little woozy and winded right near the ropes, wide open to a lariat or clothesline, so you can go head over heels over the ropes and find yourself smashing the floor in anguish. Another wasted opportunity. It could have been me. It could have been me. I was so close. And Matt, just to come so close and fall so far. My God. So we got to see that. And as, some of the best battle royals do, there's a little bit of storyline juggling. And this was no exception, Matt. We got to see further the cracks in the loyalty, as we got to see some of the betrayal of the members of the Inner Circle. I think people were kind of, kind of starting to get that squinty-eyed look, like, well, I've seen enough promos. Let's see a little in-ring combat. Let's see these guys start to fracture and fall apart in combat. And arguably, the second best, it's really tough competition. Second or third best storyteller in the Inner Circle, and arguably, top 10 in all of AEW. Sammy Guevara, he was right there, feeling betrayed by MJF and Jericho as he was dumped. So I know we're going to get Jericho and MJF, battling the Bucks for those titles, but I'm really intrigued to eventually see Sammy and Chris Jericho square off in a match. Matt, it's going to be electricity. And this was just another little seed planted in that AEW garden. Matt, moment number 2 for next Extra Time Wrestling. What do you got for us?
Mike?
Matt.
Previously mentioned Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez going over Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, because this was a match that built your next heroes in the tag team division. This was something where Raquel can't afford to lose right now, even though it's a tag team.
She was so protected, she didn't even have a cameo in the Royal Rumble to get eliminated.
Right. Like Raquel is about to own this division. Io is not going down in any matches coming up, but she is going to go down to Raquel Gonzalez. But like I said, this was that level of like DIY performance where you fall in love with the losers because they did such an amazing job. And you've got Casey Catanzaro climbing a pole and jumping down on on Dakota and Raquel. And Mike, my favorite move of the night was something that isn't that complicated, but I'm surprised we don't see more of it. Was Caden is running, from corner to corner, and she does a splash on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Dakota Kai falls flat in front of Raquel. So Caden runs back to the corner and then sprints back at Raquel, doing a drop kick, and then spins that drop kick into a splash onto Dakota Kai. Again, this is just her landing, but it's so simple. Yeah, why have we not seen more of it? It was like genius on the level of like, where has this been for the 30 years?
It's like when they discovered the alley-oop.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do this? What?
Yeah, this isn't against the rules. But yeah, ultimately, again, this also works storyline wise because we need to see more Raquel Gonzalez. The Dusty Classic for the first Women's Dusty Classic is going to be better for it, and it's not like these two ladies are ready to own this division, and this is already one of the best divisions in pro wrestling, the NXT Women's Division. So yeah, you want to make sure that if Raquel's not currently involved with the NXT Women's title, then yeah, 1,000% put them at the top of the list for the Dusty Classic. Get them as far through this tournament as possible. They probably don't need to win it, but it definitely makes it as number 2 on my list here for this week. Bringing us, Mike, to number 2. Number 2. Oh, shoot. It said AEW the whole time.
Mike, AEW. Yes. Matt, this was probably my favorite wrestling match of the night, but I'm not going to down a peg because much like Goldberg defeating Hulk Hogan in 1998, this should not have been a free match. And I'm talking about Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. When either of these women have had matches on AEW television, it's usually been a squash. It's usually about 8 minutes, if that, and it's usually at about 9:20, and it usually ends at about 9:28, so that the men could come back out at 9:30, have elongated entrances, and then have 25-minute main event matches. This is not that. Matt, these women actually got 15 minutes of real wrestling time. They were in the first hour of the program. I fell out of my beautiful new couch I just got from Gardner White. I don't know why I name dropped them because it took like 4 months to get delivered. Anywho, still bitter about that. But Thunder Rosa, my God. Cody, I don't know if you know the phrase, blank check, but just give that to Thunder Rosa. Whatever number she wants on there. we talk about a segment that we haven't done in a while, basically in honor of Walter and his hellacious knife-edge chops and slaps that have busted thousands of capillaries across the wrestling landscape. Thunder Rosa putting in her bid to win a Walter Award for Best Knife-Edge Slap Chop. She punished Britt Baker's sternum and chest with these devilish wind-up and just wet slaps like that mean kid in gym class in middle school. If you still have that little memory in your brain that won't go away, that's the kind of stank Thunder Rosa put on hers. And the worst part was, at least for Britt Baker's sake, after these hearty slaps, she would turn and mean mug the camera with all her sneering glory.
You stole that line from me.
Yeah. Well, I improved it a little bit, but this was moment number 2. It could have been moment number 1. It should have had a more prominent spot in the AEW landscape. But I get on their case every week. Stop giving the women 8 minutes. Stop giving the entire women's division 8 minutes to work with. Because outside of this, we also got to see a little bit of Jade. And I will say her angle definitely looks a little derivative of Bianca Belair. They're letting the black woman just show off that she works out a lot. And I'm like, I know, there's Deep Impact and Armageddon, but maybe not identical. But we'll see how it plays out. At least it looks like they're going to build a character for her, even if it is derivative. And I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by this whole division that's gotten a lot of flack. And Matt, I was happy. Matt, that takes us to the dishonorable mention.
All right, Mike, I had to finish my beer because I needed some courage here.
All right, the dishonorable mention for NXT before your moment number 1 of the Wednesday Night Wars for NXT. Matt, dishonorable. What do you got?
Yeah, I finished my beer because I needed a little courage here before I tell you that. It's another week. There's nothing wrong going with.
Here we go.
So my honorable mention this week is the fact that Karrion Kross he's threatening the Cruiserweight champion, Mike, to bring a main event feel to Santos Escobar's title reign and to do a Karrion Kross for Santos Escobar for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Mike, that's going to be a banger off the chains. We already love Santos Escobar. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. He's building a hell of a faction in Legado del Fantasma. And to think that they have so much confidence in this, that they're like, I know what Karrion Kross is doing. He's going to fight for that title. Just another. I'm sorry. I know I'm breaking the rules, but I don't know. I'm not going to pick Dexter Lumis coming out and making sure that Leon
that mustachioed buffoon. He should always be the dishonorable mention. What a goober.
And then to throw out another call out for Legado del Fantasma, Mike.
I got a dishonorable mention for you, Matt. You know who I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna pick you. Because I got you 2 beautiful NXT t-shirts for Christmas, and you're not wearing either of them.
I know.
Matt, you're dishonorable.
But I was also gonna say that match with Legado del Fantasma and Lucha House Party. Just another beauty. And it's like, how do I make one of those a dishonorable mention? I can't. They were all great. This show, Mike, for an hour is perfect. AEW, I think Cody will agree. AEW should probably move to Thursdays because NXT puts on the better show week after week. Mike, after all that, guess what? I also have a number 1 to talk about.
Oh, thank God.
Before we even started recording, I said, you know what? I forgot to finish my video where we would keep track of our match of the years, and it would be a little snippet, be a transition for me to bring it up. And you know what I had in mind?
What?
This match right here.
Wow.
And it's a 20-minute match. Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher going up against Adam Cole and Roddy Strong. Mike, banger if there ever was a reason to call a match a banger.
Like an episode of Head Chef, like Top Chef. Oh, Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. What kind of a pizza will they make? You know
what it was? A perfect pizza. It was a Detroit-style deep dish because that is the perfect pizza. Mike, this match was so great. Both teams got to shine. And I let you watch the end of the match there. That was something where it looked like we were right on the edge of seeing Adam Cole.
Very generous of you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Matt, before you prattle on, what did you think of Ciampa's hair coming back?
What are you getting at?
His hair's back.
I mean, he's still bald. Anyway,
shots fired.
This is what
bald.
This is what I called like.
Hey, get ready to heckle. Yeah, go ahead.
I know. I never heckle you during your fucking AEW stuff.
I'm so upset you didn't wear my shirts.
Anyways, Mike, I also want to throw out, this was one of my dream tag teams, because we kind of called it, where we talked about Thatcher and Ciampa eventually getting together because they were forming this respect for each other because of their long-standing feud and going into the fight pit together. But after they won, the absolute best part, Mike, is that the tag team I mark for the most, the Grizzled Young Vets, also came out to tease the big battle coming up with what is my new dream tag team versus my Marky Mark tag team, because I mark the hell out for them whenever they come out. Mike, get your shoes off or put them back on, and whatever you want to do for the Grizzled Young Vets, because that is going to probably be another match of the year candidate. Mike, I tell you, this show is can't miss, and any of you doofuses that are choosing to miss this week after week, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. It is a perfect wrestling show. It is a great 2 hours every week. I love it dearly. And Mike, if you want to talk about this other show that was on Wednesdays, you can go ahead.
All right, I'll try and follow that one up. For the dishonorable mention, Matt, it's really no contest here. It was Matt Hardy.
Bad things happen on that show?
Surprisingly, they do. Matt Hardy and Hangman Page doing battle against Chaos Project, and I don't know what's going on with the Hangman. The dude, when he was waiting his turn to get tagged in by Matt Hardy, it's like two different matches were going on. One was this, aged, hobbling, old, scarecrow of a man, just trying to make his way, in a straight line, let alone, land a devastating kick or punch. And then Hangman would tag in. You're like, my God, he's like the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was just, the Flash in the DC comics, and then Matt Hardy would come out, and it, would look like a corpse on marionette strings, just trying to, make its way over to one turnbuckle.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is set up a Matt Hardy versus Hangman Page feud at some point, because Matt Hardy, tagged himself in to get the pin glory after Hangman did all the wrestling work. I don't know who this story's for. I think the Hangman is destined for bigger and better, and Matt Hardy, he should just be managing. Don't make him wrestle. It's over. It's okay. It happens to all of us. We didn't need it. But Matt, easily moment number one. It's, this pro wrestling expanded universe. We are no longer limited to the confines of contractual obligation. And we had yet another debut. We've been working with the Good Brothers recently, and Kenta just popped up. Go to sleep, John Moxley. But the match preceding that big moment was equally good. All six of these guys really got time to shine. Easily my favorite was Pac. The guy, he's so good at his job. If you think about why did he ever leave WWE, it's because if you've seen him wrestle for 5 seconds, you realize what a disservice it is to anybody who takes the craft seriously, and to see Enzo Amore be given a championship belt over the bastard. It's a grave injustice. So I totally get him jumping ship, because I couldn't stomach that either with the work this guy puts in. And he was, he didn't factor into the decision. The storyline was, mostly the Good Brothers and, Kenny Omega, selling this invasion storyline, Moxley being there as like the main title opponent for Omega. Rey Fenix being just this hyper athletic guy who, the commentary team was just putting over, like he was a Hungry Howie's Valentine's Day pizza, just the greatest thing ever. And here comes Pac, just every I can't. That was in the full 15 to 20 minutes that this match was. I can't think of one instance where like either his offense, his defense, or his selling, it wasn't like 100% perfect physically. And he's just got these perfect expressions. I'm such a mark for this guy, and I get rewarded every time I watch him wrestle. So I mean, a guy who was basically an afterthought in this match. Added in because he's vaguely had an affiliation with Rey Fenix recently. Obviously, the Death Triangle's been around a while, to kind of help fill out the card in this 3-on-3 match. But man, for something that's just there to prop up, that match was there to prop up Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. The work that Pac and Phoenix to a lesser extent did. It was a real reward. It was a match like that. I don't want to say match of the year because the finish wasn't something that you'll never forget, but just the work put in to just keep propelling this story forward. Really excellent stuff, and it got me up out of my chair on a Wednesday night. And nothing week in February. So hats off. Really had a great time.
It's interesting that it wasn't match of the year. Like, NXT didn't even have a Mike, I don't know if you heard this. Breaking news. NXT did not have a dishonorable mention for like the 4th week in a row. But no, I guess AEW won because, they're ready to take away medical coverage for their pro wrestlers. Anyways, good news all around for pro. I'm just kidding. All of that is just.
Matt, you're gonna need medical coverage when I'm done with you.
Oh, which part are you working on first?
Your butt. Your bare butt, Matt.
Oh boy.
It's getting a spanking. All right, Matt. Let's wrap it up and go to the sunset.
You want to go to sleep?
Get Kenta over here so we can go to sleep.
All right, everybody. Please, if you have a moment, go to Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review. If you have a moment, just create a fake account, throw a review up there. It helps the show immensely as we're growing on YouTube. We also hope that you're going to check out Teddy Turnbuckle's YouTube page because we're going to be doing a condensed version of the Brothers of Discussion going up over there. So we hope you guys will go check that out as well. And ultimately, everything can be found at bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. So that's our hub. You can find all the links for everything we're talking about now at BOD Podcast for Twitter to get our live wrestling reactions, at brothers_of_discussion for all the fun memes. We are doing a lot more stories, so check those out as well. Highly recommend those. I'm having some fun. Mike, maybe one day you'll join me. Who knows? Mike has a real job. So, and also, I mean, the most important thing to us right now is that YouTube page, and head over there, subscribe. You're not going to miss a beat. And we're also trying to go live with some video game stuff every now and then. So check that stuff out too. Playing some Warzone, playing NHL 21. We're playing Dead by Daylight on there, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I'll be getting my Cyberpunk, my Spider-Man, and my Control on, because Control just came out for free. All right, so check all that stuff out, everybody, on the YouTube page. That's going to be probably the biggest hits media-wise. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments today, everybody. Hopefully one day we can do a mailbag episode. But have a great week. We will see you next week, Thursday night. Bye.